Very excited right now to be joined by the second-year head coach of UNC Wilmington. Welcome into the show, Seahawks skipper Randy Hood. And Coach Hood, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. Looking forward to talking with you. Looking forward to the season.
Kind of like I was talking to Robert Woodard at Charlotte a little earlier, and he was just talking about the craziness of your first year as a head coach, even though he had been doing it a while, nowhere nearly as long as you have. But talk about the craziness of 2020 and the way your program has handled an adverse situation and gotten better as a result.
Yeah, I mean, none of us realized 15, 16 games into the spring 20 season that we would all of a sudden come to a complete halt, and really the whole world change for the last 9 to 10 months on how we're used to doing things. So we had to make some quick adjustments as far as what we were doing and how we operate as a program. From that point on, at the back end of the spring, through the summer, through the fall, and now through the winter, and getting into the spring. So it's been a big adjustment. I'm proud of our guys, our staff, for everything that we've been able to accomplish just to keep moving forward. And I think we're continue to have improved over the fall as a baseball team. But it's obviously been a challenge. It's been a challenge for everybody, not just us. But looking forward to hopefully just getting back on the baseball field like we did in the fall, and do it this spring, and play some competitive games and have hopefully a good spring season.
Coach, let's take a look at your roster. Obviously, there's some variables in play here that typically would not be, such as COVID seniors and guys getting eligibility back. The draft was only 5 rounds last year, so you didn't lose some guys that you maybe would have lost under normal circumstances. So, if you would just talk about some of those top returners, and you look at your roster, you see names that you're very familiar with that have played a lot of very high level baseball: Weiss, Bridges, Marsh, Baldwin, Kroom, etc. So, just talk about some of those top returners.
Yeah, with the way things kind of shaped out at the end of the season last year, and then with the major league draft being a 5 round draft, we were, we were probably poised to lose 5 to 7 guys, whether they be guys that were in our program at the time, or 2 or 3 recruits. So, whether it was luck or not, the way things worked out, we ended up losing one of our 3 top starters in Zarian Sharp, who signed with the Twins. But we're able to get a good amount, all of our position players to come back. And lost a few bullpen arms, seniors that decided to move on and start their life outside of baseball. So it's great to have guys like Landon Roop and Luke Giselle, who have been in the mix as weekend starters and big roles for us over the last 3 years. And both of them are 2 of the top pitchers in the CAA, and I think on the East Coast. And you get Braden Gorham and Gage Herring and Adam Smith all back, who've all pitched a lot for us over the last 2 to 3 years. So from a pitching standpoint, we've got some experience back, whether it's starters and relievers, but we also have a lot of depth from our incoming class of freshmen, who I think are going to be big time arms for us, like Ethan Chenault, Jacob Schaefer, Ryan Calvert, Hunter Hodges, those guys, as they progress over the next couple of years. So we've got depth, we've got some experience, we've got some transfers that came in that are going to find their role for us. So pitching wise, I feel very good that we're going to be strong on the mound. Position player wise, like I said, we got back basically our whole infield and outfield. You got Zach Bridges, Matt Suggs, and Kevin Patera behind the plate that played a lot for us in a short stint last year and then previous. Kip Brandenburg, Ronald Evans, and Cole Weiss on the corners. Cole was drafted in the 2019 draft late by the Giants, decided to come back, so he's one of the top players in the CAA, and it's just been a solid third baseman. And then up the middle, we got Brooks Baldwin and Jack Kroom back, who basically played the middle for us last year. And we added the junior college shortstop, Tabor Mongero, who's probably one of the best defensive guys we've ever had in our program, and looking forward to him being in that mix as well. And in the outfield, you got, returners Noah Bridges, who's been in center field as a 3-year starter, Trevor Marsh as a corner guy who was starting last year as a freshman. And then you got a combination of Chris Thorburn, Noah Lyles, and we got a transfer, Dylan LaFerry, who's been at Arkansas and San Diego, and I think's got a chance to be a really good player for us. So a lot of new faces, but a lot of returners that give us a lot of depth and a lot of hope to continue on to what we've been as a program, and that's hopefully winning a lot of baseball games and winning a lot of championships.
Coach, you talked about the transfers you have on the mound. Are those more JUCO, or do you have any graduate transfers?
Uh, One graduate transfer, and then a couple from 4-year schools, and then one was a situation that um, the Chicago State situation where they dropped their baseball program, and he came from there. So a little mix of all three of it. But with the way the transfer portal opened up this past summer, and just finding the right guys for the right situations that fit our needs, but also academically from a grad standpoint with one of them, that is a whole new scenario that came in play for college baseball and all your sports.
One things I've heard, or one of the things, excuse me, that I've heard numerous coaches say is just one of the positives of this very negative situation with the COVID-19 pandemic is what we've already kind of alluded to and talked about, and with everything going on with the eligibility rules, so on and so forth, the draft, you got more quality depth than probably ever before, at least I would imagine so. And the game should be better as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, college baseball at all levels, junior college, Division I, Division II, everybody should benefit in my mind. It's nice that we have it personally, but you also got to realize that that's the general standard across the board with all teams, that everybody's going to have a good amount of depth, and so it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to competing, and hopefully we don't miss a beat and get out there to play all our games, because we've missed a lot. These guys, and I'm not just talking as a coaching staff, but that's why these guys came to school. They want to play baseball, and so I just want to get out and compete and play as many games as possible. And when it's all said and done in May, see where we stand out in our league and see where we stand out nationally. And if we do what we're supposed to and do what I think we can, we'll be sitting pretty good at the back end of the season.
Talk about playing as many games as possible, a ton of logistics and scheduling in a normal year, but those scheduling details have been even more complicated and numerous this year. And so just talk about, I see you're scheduled to play 34 home games there at beautiful Brooks Field. And then in the CAA, they're going with the divisional format where you're going to play 6 games against those divisional opponents, which for you guys are College of Charleston, Elon, James Madison, and William and Mary.
Yeah, I mean, scheduling has been a nightmare for all sports. Baseball wise, we're typically doing our schedules 2 to 3 years in advance, especially from a non-conference standpoint. So, back when all this really started coming into play back in June, July, we started having to restructure some things. We were originally scheduled to go to Arizona and play the University of Arizona on the weekend over spring break, so we had to cancel that. We had a weekend tournament at Campbell where we were playing Indiana, Campbell, and Cincinnati. When the Big South changed their scheduling format, that kind of eliminated that weekend, but also midweeks with Campbell, which, I mean, we've been playing them for 87 years plus. So, that's something that's not going to be on the schedule this year. And then when the Big Ten also did what they did, I lost a weekend series with Penn State. So just had to basically from June, just kind of, it's been very fluid. You kind of got to go by what your conference tells you that they're going to do from a conference standpoint, which ours has changed since June. It changed in November. It changed in late December, and then it just changed over the last week and a half. So we've had to make some adjustments, but luckily, a lot of our weekends that I already had filled with some non-conference games are in with teams that are, basically logistically in an area that makes sense for us to play during this pandemic. So we've got a great opening 4 weeks of non-conference with Virginia Commonwealth, who's one of the better teams in the Atlantic 10. Who, just a few years ago, we're in a super regional. We got Western Carolina coming in the second weekend, which would be great to play another team in our state that we usually don't get to. Cincinnati, like I mentioned earlier, we were able to get them to come here for a weekend after the tournament at Campbell was kind of knocked out. And then we got Appalachian State coming in, which is another team from our state that we don't typically get to play much because of just location, and the amount of teams in our state gives us a lot of options to play, a little more closer teams, but looking forward to playing them. And then we kind of jump into, like you mentioned, our South Division conference games where we play William and Mary, College of Charleston, James Madison, and Elon home and home weekends. So we 24 conference games over those 8 weekends. And then at the back end, we've got a weekend series before the conference tournament where we'll go to Charlotte and play Coach Woodard and the 49ers that last weekend. So, a lot of teams that we typically don't play in our state just because of, where we're located and type of years, but it gives us a great opportunity to hopefully, have easy travel, but also hopefully at some point fans will get to go because it's regional teams that everybody knows about and gives us a chance to, play quality competition. And our midweeks with East Carolina, NC State, Coastal Carolina, and North Carolina kind of round out our schedule, and they're kind of scattered throughout the whole schedule in March, April, and May.
Yeah, and that's something you talk about not playing Campbell. That's something that Coach Justin Hare brought up, how odd that is. And then I know with East Carolina last year, you're supposed to play 3 times.
Yeah.
That didn't happen for obvious reasons. And then this year, you're only playing once. And because I know the American, you're only playing league games once East Carolina gets into conference play. So many variables at play. But I know these tremendous in-state battles will resume as soon as possible. But last thing for you, Coach, before we let you go, we appreciate your time this morning. Just talk about just the adverse situation that we've been going through, and just the way you've seen your ball club just continue to grow and come together and be better as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, back in March, I think March 11th was the East Carolina game on a Wednesday night. We ended up winning it. Great college baseball game. We had a walk-off 3-run homer on Wednesday night. And then 48 hours later at 1 o'clock on Friday, I'm talking to our team in our indoor facility and telling them that the season's canceled. And at that point, I didn't know a whole lot about how things were going to happen and what was going to transpire from there. But as everybody knows here that's listening to this, our world's been in a health pandemic, and a lot of things have been going on all around the country with a lot of different things happening. So it's been just something daily that you've got to kind of take a step back, grasp, take it day by day, because everything changes. What you think might be happening next week could it obviously change in a split second. I'm just proud that our guys have, done a great job academically of finishing up last year. We had an unbelievable fall semester where we had about a 314 GPA. And just from a health standpoint, we've done everything we could as a baseball program to abide by the protocols that have been put in front of us, to stay as healthy as possible and do what's asked of us. So, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and praying every day that, we'll all get through this sooner than later. And hopefully we'll have a great spring season, because like I said, our baseball players, our guys here in our program, baseball players across the country, and even other athletes in other sports, we just need to get them back out on the field, get them back into classrooms, because that's where you really see the growth of as individuals and the maturity of just, making well-rounded people at this level. And that's what college is all about. It's growing up and learning to become even a better adult and better person overall.
As always, Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck to you and the Seahawks in 2021, and we'll catch up with you down the road.
All right, Bubba. I appreciate it. Thank you.